Well, it seems like there's always maintenance and modifications and just plain old working on stuff that's broken to do around this property. And I like to bundle it all into a few days. So that's what we're gonna be doing out here inside the shop. And if I remember correctly, it was about a year ago, I was doing the same thing out here, working on the Tundra, the tractor, and our other black Tundra, except there was one huge difference and this shop was unfinished. We didn't even have walls on the end, so it was starting to get pretty cold and it was making things a little bit difficult. As you can tell now, we have lights and I'm in some light clothing. That is because it's currently 60 degrees inside the shop. It's around 20 below outside, so pretty cold temperatures out there. The in-floor heating has been working amazing. It's been running for about 3 weeks. That is the only way we've been heating the shop. The coal stove, I cleaned it out. I haven't fired it up. We've been able to go out on trips. We've been able to just kind of leave this shop be. And so far it's running itself with minimal issues. But this video isn't gonna be about the floor heating. We just did an oil change on the Tundra and next we're gonna work on modifying the remote start. Let me show you the way it's working right now. After changing the oil, you wanna start up the truck and let it run. It's a couple seconds. We're in a shop, so we're not gonna let it run for too long, and then we're gonna shut it off and we'll check the oil again. But these Tundras, or a lot of Toyotas, they come with a remote start, but there's one flaw. Let me show you. There it goes. Gotta have the hood closed. Okay, here's the issue or the downfall about the Toyota Auto Start. So the truck's locked right now. We can't get in, but as soon as you want to unlock it to get in, it shuts off the truck. So if you want to leave your truck running, if you want to start it and warm it up or whatever, I don't really want to use it for that reason. You go to unlock it, it shuts the truck off, and then you got to get in and restart it. What I'm looking for is to be able to leave this truck running. Let's say Arielle and I, we go to the Home Depot in Fairbanks and we both want to go inside and it's 40 below and we want to leave the truck running instead of turning it off, which is very common up here in Alaska. We want to be able to engage the auto start, get out of the truck, take the keys with us, lock it, and leave the truck running. Let me get the oil checked, get everything buttoned up underneath, and we're going to be installing a new remote start system today. There it is, all kinds of new wiring, and this is, I guess, the brains of the operation here. This is made by a company called Fortin, I believe is how you say it. It's supposed to be a plug and play, which should be pretty simple. Everything plugs in, no cutting of wires. First thing I gotta do is take that little thing off. This one. Oh no, we gotta unplug this one. No service out here.
Oh, take a screwdriver.
What's going on here? Did I unplug the wrong one? I don't think I was supposed to unplug that one. Well, that was a quick one. That took about 4 or 5 minutes to figure out that this doesn't fit. For some reason, all the plugs worked and they plugged right in except for, so one is supposed to plug into the truck and then the plug that you took out is supposed to plug into the other side. For some reason, these ones are a lot bigger than the one I have on my truck. These ones are for the headlight switch, I believe it's called. So we'll put things back together and see if we can figure out what's going on. I don't know why my truck's a little bit different. As soon as I get the dash put back in together, we're gonna work on another problem that we've had for about a year, and that's on the rear end of the truck. So it goes like this. We do a lot of heavy towing with the Tundra, probably a little more often than we should. When we bought the truck, it was equipped with an aftermarket airlift suspension. So on the back axle, when you're towing a heavy load or you got something heavy in the bed, you can pump a little bit of air in these, I think all the way up to 100 PSI. And it can kind of give you like a little more lift on the back. You won't sag on the end and it gives you a little better of a ride. Over the summer, we went on a fishing trip and we got into some tight sticky situations and we were flexing out the back end of the Tundra, and the driver's side airbag, it like pulled out of the threads, it snapped the airline. So basically we've just had the one airbag on there. I went in here to fix it, I don't know, a few months ago, and I quickly realized that it was a bigger project than I wanted to tackle that day. So we're gonna see if we can get it done today. I'm feeling this is not gonna come off like we want it.
Because it's rusted?
It's so bad. And these aren't even the bad ones. There's bolts that go into here, right here, and they pulled out. Oh my goodness gracious. So that one we can just leave. Look at that bolt. Let's just, whoa, a lot of rust and corrosion on this truck, and it's not an old truck, it's a 2016, and that's just one of the things you face when you live in a climate where you get a lot of rust. I'm sure like East Coast and just a lot of places get this, maybe coastal places. Alaska has a lot of problems with it. This is a bracket that was put on the truck quite a while ago. I don't know exactly when, but we got the bolts off that pulled out of the airbag. As soon as we get everything cleaned up, we should be smooth sailing from here on the install. We'll see. No, it's just those bolts. These don't sit flush. They're supposed to sit flush down in there. Just one of those days out here, continuous modifications. The bolts on the top of this one that was on the truck were these, and we had to cut them off because they were seized up and a little Allen hole in there was rusted out. But these sit down flush, and they need to sit down flush because this has to sit against the frame so this little air valve, or this connector, can go through. So we took out the washers, we cut the bolt down about 1/4 inch so it would fit in there, and now we're gonna grind them smooth. And hopefully that works. Okay. Had high hopes for today, or a lot of goals. The goal was to get the oil changed, the auto start put in, and the airbag replaced. Unfortunately, all I got done was the oil change. This one, we came close. We had a lot of modifying to do. We got it in there. We had some more strip bolts that I replaced, and it's all coming down to me taking it out, and I'm gonna have to order a new part. There's a small fitting in there where the little 1/4 inch air hose pushes in, And the one that this came with, it sits a little bit too low. So it's kind of like down in the frame and we can't get the air hose to hook in all the way. It just keeps leaking. It's pushing on the little contraption that releases the hose. So I need to call Airlift directly and see if I can get a fitting that's a little bit taller. It's the way it goes sometimes out here. At least we're working on a nice warm floor and not the snow. So we're gonna pull this one out for now and we'll see if we can get a part in the future. Well, we're back out working on the truck this morning and things are just going okay. So we pulled off the back wheel on the truck again to try to get the airbag in. I kind of made a little piece that would raise up that little connector enough to plug the air line in, and it didn't work. It was too tall, but I did get a hold of Airlift, who makes those airbags, and they sent me 2 of the new fittings that are gonna fit on there. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait until we get those in the mail. But also last night, we realized that we're gonna be able to get our auto start installed. So we were having trouble yesterday getting this plug in. The video I was going off was unplugging the headlight switch and plugging it in there, and it just wasn't fitting. It was completely the wrong plug. So I emailed the guy and he actually called me back right away. I think it was like 11 o'clock at night where he was. Super good customer service, and he sent me some documentations and another video and told me I was plugging it into the wrong spot. So the video I was watching was a video on an auto start or a remote start, but it was for a similar one, but it was different. So it wasn't gonna work. So we're gonna get this plugged into the right spot. There's 4 different connections. I've got 3 of them in, and then we're gonna hook up 1 ground, and then we're gonna hook into the little Fortin remote starter. We'll have to program it.
Press and hold the program button. Oh no, I did it wrong already. I'm supposed to press and hold the button and then insert the pin.
Maybe when they just turn randomly, I'll release them. Right there.
Oh no, then I turn the ignition on. I'm doing this wrong. Okay, that's it. Now we gotta test it. What's going on? So apparently you have to use the key.
That's what I thought. I've seen people use the key to unlock it.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Unless
ask
you
you.
buy their upgraded kit, which comes with like the new remotes. We got it going. It's working as it should, although I don't know if I'm disappointed. I was just expecting something a little bit different. This kit was the cheapest kit that they have for this truck. It's 200 bucks, and it uses your original key fob here, which I wanted. I didn't want a different key fob. Unfortunately, the way it works with the original key fob is once you auto start the truck, you do that by tapping the lock button 3 times. So it locks the truck and it auto starts it. When you go to hit the unlock button, it doesn't do anything. You have to use the key in the door, which I've never even used, and you gotta unlock it that way, and then you have to do the same thing when you leave the truck. You know, you're in there, you press the lock button 3 times, you take the keys out, you shut the door, you have to stick the key in there, and you have to lock it, and apparently that's how it works. But either way, it works, and I think it's gonna be helpful to have this winter. We're gonna get things put back together, some zip ties, put all these little panels back on, and this project will be done for now. Up next, we're gonna be working on modifying the Branson tractor to become better at plowing our snow. It does do a good job. We cleared the garden in the spring. It was a huge area, and the plow works really good if you're kind of just going straight. Where it's not working good is if I'm kind of having it tilted at an angle and I'm doing something long like the driveway. We're having some issues with that. We're gonna be putting some chains on the back that we can use in the snow, give us a little bit better traction. And then right now we're putting on the 3-point hitch mechanisms on the back side because I want to put a ballast on the back of this to give us a little more weight. We have had this tractor for 1.5 years and it always has the backhoe on the back, and that weighs over 1,000 pounds. So that really helps out when you're trying to lift something heavy with the forks. It keeps the back end planted on the ground. But since finishing the shop and keeping the tractor in here, we decided to take the backhoe off because the backhoe sticks out Probably about that far, and it's gonna take up too much room in the shop. So we're gonna put a little bit of weight on the back end here, and then we're gonna work on modifying the plow. If we put this here though, isn't it gonna go side? Yeah, it's gonna go side to side.
Oh, it's not gonna have the side support.
Yeah, so then this will be shaking. So that's what those are for.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's like you just have to cut it off. Grind it off.
Yeah, but I really don't want to modify $800 chains until I know that's what I need to do.
I didn't say grind it off. I was just saying maybe because it fits multiple pairs. Like.
Can, yeah.
It looks really nice to me.
You can do is you can also stick a bungee right there and right there, just on the outside. This will go here.
I think it is going to be too close, honestly. Like 2-inch spacers or something. They sell like all sorts of sizes.
So that's how it'll go.
Does it ship to the side though, like you just did, or no?
No, see how this piece is out? It's gotta go way that way.
Touch them.
After this past couple of days, I think I'm learning that no matter how much prep, planning, and research you do for projects, sometimes things just don't go your way. We're putting these tire chains on here, and I had a feeling that if we wanted to run tire chains and we wanted to put our little arms for a 3-point hitch on the back of the tractor, it was gonna rub these chains. These are big, heavy-duty chains, and they stick out, you know, a good, I don't know, 1.5 inches on the inside and on the outside. And the way we were gonna build that ballast, it's gonna spread those arms apart, and they are rubbing. When we picked up these chains up in Fairbanks, I was assured that I was not gonna need any sort of wheel spacer for the back of these tires. It turns out if I wanna put that hitch on the back, I am gonna have to get the spacer, so we're gonna have to order some of those in before we can put the ballast on the back if we're gonna have the chains on here. And then with the chains, so it looks like they're semi-universal. These ones, they fit great this way, like over the sides, but they're just way too long, so we're having to cut off about, I don't know, it was 2 whole lengths, so like 18 inches were taken off of them, so they fit perfect on these tires. Upside is, they look like really nice chains. The company is Viking chains, I believe. They look really heavy duty, and I think they're gonna work great for us. And I think we're still gonna be able to get the ballast built for the back. I just don't know if we're gonna be able to get it mounted right away. All right, hand me the grinder. The plow's relatively easy to put on. You pull up 2 levers, drop the forks off, you drive into the plow. It is a 7-foot. The main problem I was having with it when I was doing our driveway and I had it tilted was this cutting edge wanted to just kind of dig down into the snow and cut in, and the front end of the tractor would basically kind of walk all over the place, and I wasn't able to get like a nice straight line and push the snow off to the side. There is adjustable feet down here. I tried dropping those down a little bit lower. It didn't really seem to help. I'm gonna try to put a piece of pipe on here and kind of mellow out this sharp edge so it's rounded. I don't think I'll be able to dig down as deep in the snow, but I'm hoping that it'll help with keeping the front end of the tractor going in a straight line. All of this thing's not going my way is wearing on me, so we're calling it quits for the night. We're gonna refire up the generator because it was trying to charge our batteries.
That's a really good idea.
Okay, that's enough to get us started.
Want me to put the bag in? Took a long time for these to defrost. Something like that.
Shit. It's not a switch, but it doesn't pop out.
There you go.
Cut the whole thing off for it, man. What are you doing? You leave a little inch on there?
You said I'm the boss man.
Good morning, and it is a good morning. Finally, things seem to be going our way. We're getting started on building the ballast for the back of the tractor. We're using a 55-gallon drum that we've had for a couple years, finally putting it to use. And then I also found at a local tractor supply store up in Fairbanks, I think they call it a three-point hitch trailer receiver. It looks like this. And we're using it for hooking onto the three-point on the back of the tractor. We're not using the actual trailer hitch part. We've got a ton of leftover concrete from when we did the seed room wall. I don't know exactly how much we're gonna put in this drum, but the backhoe weighs 1,300 pounds. And that's really nice to have that weight back there, but I don't think I want that much weight. We'll probably start with 10 bags. So that'll be 600 pounds, and we'll see where that gets us.
How you turn around again? You got some other gloves I can use to make the
The whole thing right there. Turn that on, yeah. Get that water to mix everything back up.
Eric's grabbing some hot water from inside the house. This is a little bit messier than we thought it would be. We finished up with the concrete and we just gotta get things cleaned up before it dries. We're gonna have to get this outside and, I don't know, somehow use like the hot water to clean it off. I wanna make sure it gets decently clean. Just like a secret hiding spot you gotta clean.
Well, we got her filled up 16 bags later. It's 960 pounds of concrete in here. I think that's gonna be more than plenty to put some weight on the back of the tractor. Obviously, this is gonna sit in here and cure for a while. I did order some wheel spacers for the back of the Branson. We're gonna go out 2 inches on each side. Should be perfect, so we can put this on while we have the chains on and they won't rub. Also, I found out more on the auto start. Going back to that on the Tundra, it is supposed to unlock with the fob. The problem is, the Tundra had a remote start put in it from the factory, and apparently I have to remove that whole entire system before I put this new remote start in. I end up just taking the new one out for now. I don't really have time to dive into pulling out the old remote start. So we're gonna tackle that at a later date. And now we're gonna be working on the chicken coop. This is a fuel tank that we're gonna be putting in over there. I put the little nipple on there so we can connect it. I've got some tools, a couple 2x4s. Let's head over.
Eric, someone laid a baby egg. What is this? What did you do?
So now we can bring these down here.
It's a super cool hammer.
Yeah, I just bought it at the thrift store.
Doing some modifications in the chicken coop, and we're doing this for two reasons. The first reason is when this fuel tank was up here, although manageable and we did it for over a year, filling it up was kind of a pain. So I'm lifting a 5-gallon diesel can up here and we're emptying it in. It wasn't too big of a deal, but I wanted to add a second fuel tank, so I figured we'd move them into a spot that was easier to fill up. These fuel tanks are about 4 gallons each, and the chicken coop operates on a gallon of diesel fuel a day if the heater's on level 1, which is the lowest, and it's running for 24 hours. So one of these tanks will last for 4 days. Now we can leave it running for 8 days, or we can just come in here and fill up the tanks and we won't have to fill them up as often, which is always going to be nice. The heater, the chicken coop, everything's been awesome. I did make one modification and I just took it off so I could show you guys. The way the diesel heater works is it sucks air in through here, it pushes it this way, it heats it up and it blows it in. But what I did is I put this piece of ducting right here, and basically what it's doing is it's gonna suck air across this hot exhaust. So when the air comes into the diesel heater, it's a little bit warmer. Therefore, when it comes out, it's even hotter in the chicken coop. Put it just like that. Diesel heater's on. The batteries, as you can tell, they're getting low. 11.5, they're real low. We've been charging them up once a week for 8 hours with a little Honda generator. That uses 1 gallon of gas a week. I'm gonna put a new spark plug in it because it needs it. Check the oil. We'll fill up our little diesel tanks. Good to go.
How did the batteries jump down, huh?
Because it takes a lot of power to start this thing.
Oh.
Once you start it though, it doesn't take a lot of power. It's just starting it up.
It's the blue hour, baby.
I love this generator.
That's a lot easier.
That's a better height, huh?
Look, I can just set it right on this one.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Oh, this is way easier. 8 gallons we can put in here.
I wanted to show you guys one of our roosters. He has 2 names, Lenny and Sunny. Eric named him Lenny because we sing American Woman around here a lot. And I named him Sunny because he's not quite like a white chicken. He's definitely got some like cream or ivory colored to him. He's a pure Hitamora and he is absolutely amazing. I love our main rooster, Ruru. He's an Icelandic and we've had him for 5 years. It is incredibly hard to get good roosters. We've hatched out probably like 150 birds. And I know we had one that we really liked. He was gonna be a replacement for Ruru, but he got eaten by a fox. So now we've got this one. He's not even a year old. He was hatched out this year. And I think the reason he's so friendly is because the mom, it turned out she actually wasn't a good mom. She was a little bit unfit to be the mom, so we had to cull her. These babies were raised pretty much by the flock. So from 1 week of age, they didn't have heat, and they literally just ran amongst these giants in here. And I think that is why he is so people like friendly, social. I know we talk a lot about our chickens, and if you followed us last year, you probably saw we were getting everything all set up in here for the winter. This year, it's been pretty amazing so far. When October rolled around, the lights were already hooked up on the timer. Eric had that ready to go. So there was no real adjustment for the chickens, and the heater was doing great. It's been awesome having that. We actually heat our chickens about 6 months out of the year. I know that's a little heavy. You could definitely just do it November through February, but they molt in October and a lot of them are naked in here and they get cold. So we start heating it in October. It's only about $50 a month to heat them. It's just something we find is, I don't know, it just makes our chickens a lot happier. We don't mind spending it. You definitely don't have to heat chickens. I think we all know that, but we like to heat ours. There's obviously a lot of plus sides to heating them. The waters don't freeze. We probably change them them out every 2 to 3 days anyways, just to make sure they have fresh water, but the water will not freeze in here if we go on trips. The windows, if you remember them last year, they had way more frost on them. And that was because, I think it was, we had colder weather last year, so it hasn't been that cold. But also Eric has a real consistent routine with how he heats it. So he'll run over here in the afternoon, he'll turn on the diesel heater, and then he'll turn it off in the morning when we come out. And that just seems to keep things dry, consistently warm. We're not getting a lot of that thawing and freezing. It's also helping with like frost in the corners, so I'm not finding too much frost building up in the corners at all. It is super dusty in here this year. It's always dusty, but I made the mistake of putting some wood ash in that dust box over there, and they just had a heyday with it. It made it so Eric had to clean that diesel heater out like way more often than he usually does. I'm just gonna be sticking to soil and sand in there from now on. So there's a lot of dust in here, especially in areas we've never seen it before. I didn't even know there were cobwebs in here. I didn't know how there could be a spider, but I think there must have been at some point. There was also dust on the chicken eggs, which we thought was weird. So that kind of, I put it together. It was the wood ash that we were putting in there. The door to the outside run is closed off. They do not want to go out there. They like it in here. It's paradise. So we just keep that closed off so there's not that cold air coming in. It's been amazing having this coop going on trips because we can pretty much get it set up and confidently leave for a few days at a time, not really have to worry about anything. There has been a few hiccups, like I mentioned, with cleaning the heater out a lot, and also that generator that we have as well. We've got a broody chicken over here. This is actually Vulture. She keeps trying to make her way back there. I don't know why she's trying to go broody in the middle of the year. We've got a long way to get until spring. It looks like we got 8 eggs for the day. There's 3 right here. I already got 5. Look at that beautiful green one. That's pretty good for December 21st, our shortest day of the year. So from here on out, the days get longer.
See if we can get some plowing done today. We've got the tractor pulled out and all warmed up. What we're gonna do is get the driveways around our property. So the main one and then this U-shaped one that goes to the Quonset hut. We're gonna angle the blade and we're gonna drive forward one way, push the snow to one side, and then we'll be able to turn around coming back with the blade angled the same way. And that should push the snow off the opposite side. I'm interested to see how this setup is gonna work, minus the ballast on the back. Full tilt. Right there.
Just a little bit. You could probably take it.
Nah, it's gonna fall off.
Oh, darn. That's weird. What did it hit?
Let's take it off.
Man, I was just walking that driveway saying you didn't
Need
really
like a thicker pipe or a different material or something.
What about metal, Eric?
That'll probably work. Things are going really well out here. I don't know if it's the chains or the plastic piece, but the tractor seems to just be going straight, which is what I wanted, and it's pushing the snow off the side for me. We've got quite a bit of snow on the ground. We got about, I don't know, 6 inches the other day, and then we had some more before that. Unfortunately, the pipe has broken after only about 5-10 minutes of plowing. Arielle mentioned maybe we could put metal on there, and I think that's a pretty good idea. I've got some metal 3-inch pipe, I think. This is 2-inch. And maybe we could cut down the center and put on there and see how that works. But I'm gonna take it off for now, and let's see how just the plow does by itself.
So it looks like that may be working for Eric. Last year, we pretty much got away with all grooming. So we really didn't have to do any plowing or removal, just besides a little bit of shoveling of the deck and grooming of the trucks. We did use the tractor on a few occasions when there was like an area we needed to clear. I'm getting the sled cleaned off that we use for the grooming. We are going to do this area around the house. So our whole property has like this series of trails and like a little network that you can drive on. We have a lot of trailers that we use, especially in the winter as well. And so this year, when we groomed the first time, it was pretty warm and the snow didn't compact very well, which we're kind of used to. That's the reason we can get away with snow grooming, is the type of snow we get and how cold it gets here. So we were having a little bit of struggles with some ruts and getting the trailers in and out for the first, I feel like at least the first month and a half of winter. But we're still going to be sticking with the grooming for this area, to the woodshed, and to the chicken coop. We don't have a very big path to the chicken coop for the tractor. So I'm going to have to get Eric to start up the machine for me, and I'll tackle this area and he can probably do our driveway. So it seems like there's a lot of snow out here because that was a little more troubling than usual. We're gonna use this by itself without that trailer for now, and then I'll probably hook the trailer back up once things are a little more packed down.
Well guys, I think we definitely made some improvements on the tractor. Ooh, it's getting cold out here. It's got to be about 0 now, and we've got most of the property done. Our driveway is really long, and plowing, it's not just something that you can just hop in or hop on and do. It actually requires skill, and I don't have it mastered quite yet on this tractor. I'm still learning, but I think I did a well enough job where Arielle can just hit this with the groomer real quick and kind of smooth out some of my lines. The chains are making a huge difference. I did at first want to put some front chains on the tractor, but apparently with these Bransons, if you have chains on the front and you turn all the way, the chains can hit the steering and it can damage your steering. So we're not going to put any of those on for now. And I do think that putting the ballast on the back and having a little extra weight back there would probably help me a little bit better. The piece of pipe we put on the plow, that definitely helped. I'm starting to kind of cut in a little deep, and it's digging in a little more than I want and kind of making the front end walk a little bit, but it's definitely a huge difference. The good news is we don't get too much snow here compared to our last place, so I can see us maybe plowing heavy snows with the tractor 2, maybe 3 times a year. The rest we'll just hit with the groomer. This is my last run up the driveway, and then we're done with this. And as far as the plow, I'm gonna leave that outside, and we'll hook the forks back up to the tractor. We'll park the tractor inside like that, and soon enough we'll get that ballast hooked up to the back. Woo.